The declaration. The tribunal begins. The Galactic Tribunal Chamber floated in the void between star systems, a massive structure of crystallized energy and ancient metal. Ambassador Myachin stood at the center of a circular platform, surrounded by towering holographic projections of alien dignitaries. Above her, the dome ceiling displayed the swirling cosmos, a reminder how small one species could seem against the vastness of space. Maya was 47 years old, with sharp brown eyes and black hair tied back in a simple bun. She wore the formal gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, a modest outfit compared to the elaborate robes and bioluminescent displays of the beings judging her. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 234 species watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. Humans had been part of the Galactic Council for only 15 years, barely a moment in the timeline of civilizations that had existed for millennia. At the highest point of the chamber sat the Supreme Arbiters, 5 beings who held absolute authority over Council law. The lead arbiter was Vorthak, a massive creature resembling living crystal formations with pulsing veins of blue light. His species, the Krell Dominion, had controlled the Council for 8,000 years. When Vorthak spoke, his voice resonated through the chamber like the ringing of 1,000 bells. Ambassador Chin of Earth, Vorthak announced, you stand accused of 37 violations of Council expansion law. Your species has established unauthorized settlements in the Tau sector. You have mined resources from protected asteroid fields. You have developed military technology beyond your designated classification level. These actions cannot be ignored. Maya remained perfectly still, her hands clasped behind her back. She had known this moment would come. In fact, humanity had been counting on it. The Council has reviewed your case, Vorthak continued. We find humanity guilty of all charges. Your punishment has been determined. Earth will surrender all colony rights. Your military will be dismantled. Your homeworld will accept Council oversight for the next 500 years. If you refuse these terms, the Council will have no choice but to classify humanity as a hostile species and respond accordingly. A murmur rippled through the assembled aliens. Everyone understood what respond accordingly meant. In the Council's 10,000-year history, 23 species had been classified as hostile. None of them existed anymore. Maya took a slow breath, her expression unreadable. She glanced at the small device on her wrist, checking the time. Then she looked up at Vorthak and spoke in a clear, calm voice. Supreme Arbiter, before I respond, I need clarification. When you say the Council will respond accordingly, you mean you will declare battle against Earth. Is that correct? Vorthak's crystalline form brightened with what might have been irritation. If you force us to such action, yes. The full military strength of the Council will be deployed against your homeworld and colonies. Your species will be eliminated as a threat to galactic stability. This is not a negotiation, Ambassador. This is a final judgment. Maya nodded slowly. I understand. I just want to make absolutely certain that this declaration was official and witnessed by all Council members. She looked around the chamber, making eye contact with as many representatives as possible, so that everyone here knows who initiated hostilities. Your attempt at moral positioning are irrelevant, Vorthak said coldly. You have 24 hours to accept subjugation or face annihilation. The Council has spoken. Maya raised her wrist and pressed a single button on her communicator. The device emitted a soft blue pulse. That pulse traveled through subspace at speeds faster than light itself, reaching Earth in less than 3 seconds. The message contained only 3 words. Phoenix Protocol active. I have a response to the Council, Maya said, and for the first time since entering the chamber, she smiled. It was not a nervous smile or a defeated smile. It was a smile of someone who had been waiting years for this exact moment. The truth revealed. You have made a critical error, Maya began, her voice echoing through the silent chamber. Not in your judgment of our actions. We did violate your laws. We did it deliberately. We needed you to declare battle first. You see, we needed every species in this chamber to witness that Earth did not start this conflict. Confused murmurs spread through the assembled aliens. Several delegates leaned forward, trying to understand what the human meant. For 60 years, Maya continued, Humanity had been preparing for this day. We knew it would come eventually. We studied your history, Supreme Arbiter. We learned what happened to the Zephyr Collective. We discovered the fate of the Oran Commonwealth. We found records of the Shin Unity. 23 species that resisted Council control. 23 species that no longer exist. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. Those names were not often spoken in council chambers. They were reminders of a darker aspect of galactic governance that most prefer to forget. When your survey ships first arrived at Earth, Maya said, you found a divided world. Humans fighting humans over resources, territory, ideology. You saw a primitive spacecraft barely capable of reaching our own moon. You saw a species ripe for exploitation or elimination. What you did not see was the truth. Maya walked slowly around the platform, her footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. 30 years before your ships arrived, something crashed in our southern continent. A probe, a small automated device sent by the Council to observe developing species. We found it, we studied it, and we learned that we were being watched. Vorthak's crystalline body darkened slightly. Impossible. Our surveillance technology is undetectable by primitive species. It was undetectable, Maya agreed, until it malfunctioned and fell from orbit. That single accident changed everything for humanity. Our world leaders faced a choice. We could continue our conflicts, unaware that advanced civilizations were judging us. Or we could unite and prepare for the day when you would make contact. She stopped walking and faced Vorthak. Directly, we chose preparation. Every nation on Earth contributed. We built hidden facilities in our deepest oceans, in remote mountain ranges, on the dark side of our moon. We reverse-engineered your technology and then improved upon it. And when your ambassadors finally arrived with your generous offer to join the Council, we were ready. Ready for what? Demanded Arbiter ZYXRA, a serpentine being whose scales shimmer with bioluminescence. To commit suicide by defying us? Ready to show you what humans can do when we stop pretending, Maya replied. For 15 years, we have played the role you expected. We accepted terrible trade agreements without complaint. We took colony worlds and worthless sectors and thanked you for them. We built the military you thought we were building, using the technology you thought we had. We smiled and nodded and acted like the naive newcomers you wanted us to be. She pressed another button on her wrist device. Holographic displays appeared throughout the chamber, showing star charts and data streams. But while we performed that act, we were doing something else entirely. We were building our real fleet, our real weapons, our real future. The star chart showed the Tau sector, where human colonies had been established without permission. But now the displays revealed something else. Thousands of energy signatures appeared on the charts, surrounding the sector in a perfect sphere. What is this? Vorthak demanded. What are we seeing? Our fleet, Maya said simply, 4,200 ships, each one equipped with technology that does not appear in any of your databases, each one crewed by men and women who have trained their entire lives to this moment. They have been hidden in dimensional folds, in spaces between spaces that your sensors cannot detect. They have been waiting for my signal. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted in dozens of languages. Security personnel moved toward Maya, but she held up one hand. Before you try to detain me, she said loudly, her voice cutting through the noise, you should know that detaining me changes nothing. The signal has already been sent. The fleet is already moving. And Supreme Arbiter Vorthak has already declared battle on behalf of the entire Council. Everything that happens next is a response to your aggression, not ours. Vorthak rose to his full height, his crystalline body blazing with light. You are bluffing. Even if you have hidden ships, you cannot defeat the combined military might of 234 species. We have conquered galaxies. We have existed for eons. Your species learned to fly between stars barely a century ago. Maya's smile grew wider. You are right about one thing, Supreme Arbiter. You have existed for eons. You have become comfortable in your power. You have forgotten what it means to face a species that has everything to lose and nothing to fear. She looked around at all the assembled delegates. You have forgotten that the most dangerous opponent is not the strongest one. It is the one you underestimated. The fleet emerges, far across the galaxy. In the Tau sector that humanity had claimed without permission, space itself began to tear, not with violence or destruction, but with mathematical precision. Reality folded along quantum boundaries that Council science had theorized but never mastered. From these folds, ships emerged. They were beautiful in a way that warships rarely are. Sleek hulls of adaptive metal that shifted color with the light. Drives that bent space-time without leaving radiation signatures. Weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, the product of 60 years of secret development and combined genius of a unified species. Commander James Reeves stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiance, the flagship of humanity's hidden armada. He was 52 years old, with gray streaking his brown hair and lines around his eyes from years spent staring at star charts in classified facilities. He had joined the secret military program when he was 23 and had spent his entire adult life preparing for this day. "Commander," his tactical officer called out, "we have received the Phoenix Protocol signal from Ambassador Chun. All ships report ready status." Reeves nodded, feeling a strange mixture of excitement and dread. "Open a channel to all vessels. I want every captain to hear this." The communication officer worked her controls. "Channel open, sir." Reeves took a breath and spoke clearly. "This is Commander Reeves to all ships of the Earth Defense Fleet. 60 years ago, our grandparents made a choice. They decided that humanity would never again be vulnerable to forces beyond our control. They worked in secret, sacrificed in silence, and built something incredible. Today, we honor their sacrifice. Today, we show the galaxy what free humans can accomplish." He paused, looking at the view screen showing thousands of human ships positioned in perfect formation. "The Galactic Council has declared battle against Earth. They believe we are weak. They believe we are alone. They believe we will surrender or die. Let us show them how wrong they are. All ships, proceed to intercept coordinates. Engage defensive shields. Prepare all weapon systems. And remember, we do not fight for conquest. We fight for the right to exist on our own terms." Across the fleet, 4,200 ships moved as one. They accelerated to speeds that should have torn them apart, using drives that manipulated gravity itself. They coordinated through a neural network that connected every human pilot into a single unified consciousness. They had been hidden for decades, waiting for this moment. The Council was about to learn that humanity had not spent 15 years as junior members learning to follow rules. They had spent 15 years studying their enemy, analyzing weaknesses, and preparing for inevitable conflict. Back in the tribunal chamber, Maya Chin watched as the holographic displays updated in real time. Council sensor stations across the galaxy were detecting the human fleet. Alarm signals were being transmitted. Military commanders were scrambling to respond. "This is madness," Arbiter ZYXRA hissed. "You will be destroyed. Every human world will burn." "Perhaps," Maya said calmly. "Or perhaps not. Either way, we will not go quietly into subjugation. We will not fade away like the 23 species before us. If the Council wants to eliminate humanity, you will have to fight for it. And by the time this battle is over, every species in the galaxy will know the truth about your so-called protection." Vorthak stared at the human ambassador, seeing her clearly for the first time. This was not the nervous diplomat who had accepted insults with a smile. This was not the grateful primitive who had thanked the Council for worthless colonies. This was something else entirely. This was a human who had been wearing a mask for 15 years and had finally removed it. "You have doomed your species," Vorthak said quietly. Maya shook her head. "No, Supreme Arbiter. We have freed our species. Whatever happens next, humans will face it as equals, not as subjects. That is worth any price." She turned and walked toward the exit of the chamber. Guards moved to stop her, but Vorthak raised one crystalline hand. "Let her go," he commanded. "She is merely a messenger. The real conflict is about to begin." Maya paused at the doorway and looked back one final time. The conflict began 8,000 years ago, when your species decided that might makes right. We are simply ending it. May the best civilization win. She walked out into the corridor, leaving behind a chamber full of shocked and frightened aliens. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Council faced an enemy that refused to be intimidated. For the first time in their long history, they faced humanity unleashed. And across the stars, 4,200 ships moved toward their destiny, carrying with them the hopes and determination of an entire species that had finally stopped pretending to be weak. The real battle was about to begin. The reckoning. The Epsilon Corridor. The Epsilon Corridor was a region of space where 3 star systems formed a natural triangle, creating the only safe passage through an otherwise impassable nebula field. For millennia, the Council had used this corridor as a strategic choke point, controlling all trade and military movement through the sector. Now, it would become the site of the largest space battle in galactic history. Commander James Reeves watched the tactical display on the bridge of the HSS Defiance as Council forces gathered at the far end of the corridor. The numbers were staggering. 15,000 warships from 47 different species, all converging on a single point. It was the largest fleet the Council had assembled in 3 centuries, brought together for one purpose: to crush humanity's rebellion before it could inspire others. Enemy fleet composition analysis complete, reported Lieutenant Sarah Park, the tactical officer. She was 31 years old, brilliant, and had spent the last decade training in simulated battles against Council forces. We are detecting Krell Dominion dreadnoughts, Vorith strike cruisers, Zenthri carriers, and at least 20 other ship classes. Total tonnage is approximately 40 times our own. Reeves nodded calmly. The disparity in numbers did not concern him. Earth strategists had planned for this exact scenario. What about their formation? Standard Council battle formation, Park replied. Heavy ships in the center, fast attack craft on the flanks, support vessels in the rear. They are approaching with confidence, sir. They do not believe we pose a real threat. Good. Reeves said, overconfidence is a weakness we can exploit. He turned to his communication officer. Commander Chen, open a channel to all human vessels. It is time to remind everyone why we trained for this. The channel opened, connecting Reeves to every ship captain in the fleet. This is Commander Reeves. You all know what we face. 15,000 ships crewed by species that have waged war for thousands of years. They have superior numbers, superior firepower by conventional measurements, and the experience of countless campaigns. By every traditional calculation, we should lose this battle. He paused, letting his words sink in. But we are not fighting a traditional battle. We are not using traditional tactics. For 60 years, humanity has prepared for this moment. We have developed weapons the Council has never imagined. We have trained in ways they cannot comprehend. And most importantly, we are united in a way they can never be. Reeves looked at his bridge crew, seeing the determination in their eyes. The Council expects us to fight like they fight, with brute force and numerical superiority. Instead, we will fight like humans, with intelligence, creativity, and the absolute refusal to accept defeat. All ships execute Pattern Omega. Show them what evolution looks like. Across the fleet, 4,200 ships began to move, but they did not advance in a straight line toward the enemy. Instead, they scattered in seemingly random directions, breaking into smaller groups that moved independently. To the Council observers, it looked like chaos, like a formation falling apart under pressure. Admiral Kreshtar, commanding the Council Armada from his flagship, watched the human fleet scatter and felt satisfaction flood through his 3 hearts. He was a Vorith, a species of massive reptilian beings known for their tactical genius. His people had won 1,000 battles across 5 galaxies. He had personally commanded fleets that had conquered 12 star systems. The humans are panicking, he announced to his bridge crew. They see our numbers and their formation is collapsing. All ships advance at full speed. We will crush them before they can retreat. His tactical officer, a younger Vorith named Sesharin, studied the scanner displays with concern. Admiral, something seems unusual about their movement patterns. They are scattering, but in coordinated groups, and our sensors are having difficulty maintaining tracking locks. Electronic warfare, Kreshtar dismissed, primitive attempts to confuse our targeting systems. It will not save them. Order all ships to open fire the moment they enter weapons range. But Seshrin's concern was well-founded. The human ships were not simply scattering randomly. They were executing a complex maneuver that only became apparent when viewed from multiple dimensions simultaneously. Ships that appeared to be fleeing were actually positioning themselves along carefully calculated vectors. Small groups that seemed isolated were actually forming nodes in a massive three-dimensional network. And then, when the Council fleet was fully committed to their advance, the humans revealed their first surprise: quantum warfare. The human ships stopped moving. For a moment, they simply hung in space, apparently waiting for the Council armada to reach firing range. Admiral Kreshtar smiled, his fangs gleaming. They have nowhere to run. All ships, prepare to fire. We will end this quickly. But before any Council ship could discharge a weapon, something impossible happened. The human ships began to flicker. They did not disappear, but rather seemed to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Scanner displays showed single ships appearing in 5, 10, 20 different positions at once. What is happening? Kreshtar demanded. What is this? Admiral, Seshrin said, his voice tight with confusion. Our targeting systems cannot lock onto them. The ships are phasing in and out of normal space. They are using some form of quantum displacement technology. They are existing in multiple probability states simultaneously. Before Kreshtar could respond, the human ships fired, but their weapons were unlike anything the Council had encountered. Beams of coherent energy lanced out from multiple positions at once, striking Council ships from angles that should have been impossible. Missiles appeared inside Council defensive shields, having tunneled through quantum barriers that were supposed to be impenetrable. The first wave of Council ships simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there, advancing confidently. The next moment, their atoms have been dispersed across multiple dimensions. No explosions, no debris, just empty space where proud warships have been seconds before. Evasive maneuvers. Kreshtar read. All ships scatter and return fire. But scattering was exactly what the humans wanted them to do. As the Council formation broke apart, the human ships moved with impossible coordination. They did not communicate through normal channels that could be intercepted or jammed. Instead, each human pilot was connected through a neural network that functioned faster than light, allowing the entire fleet to think and react as a single organism. Commander Reeves watched the battle unfold with cold satisfaction. Target the heavy cruisers first. Once their shields collapse, the smaller vessels will lose formation integrity. Yes, sir, Lieutenant Park replied. Her fingers flew across her controls, but she was not really piloting the ship manually. She was interfacing directly with the ship's artificial intelligence through a neural implant in her brain. Her thoughts became commands, and the Defiance responded instantly. The human strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. While Council ships relied on conventional tactics perfected over millennia, human vessels fought with a combination of quantum physics and neural integration that turned each ship into an extension of its crew's consciousness. Human pilots did not react to threats. They anticipated them, their enhanced reflexes and predictive algorithms allowing them to be where enemy fire was not. Within 20 minutes, the Council had lost 3,000 ships. The survivors were in disarray, their formations shattered, their commanders struggling to understand an enemy that refused to fight by any known rules. Admiral Kreshtar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His mighty armada was being torn apart by a force one-third its size. This is impossible. No species could develop such technology in such a short time. They have only been spacefaring for a century. Perhaps, Seshrin said quietly, that is precisely why they succeeded. They were not bound by our assumptions about what is possible. The offer, as the battle raged, something unexpected happened. A transmission cut through all military channels, broadcasting to every ship in the combat zone. It was Ambassador Maya Chun, her face appearing on screens across both fleets. "Attention all Council vessels," she said, her voice calm despite the carnage unfolding around her. "I am speaking directly to the crews, not your commanders. I want every being serving in this fleet to hear what I have to say. On 1,000 ships, soldiers and officers pause, surprised that a human transmission could penetrate their secure networks so easily. You are fighting and dying because your leaders ordered you to destroy humanity, Maya continued. But I ask you to consider why. What threat do we actually pose to you? We claim 3 star systems in unclaimed space. We built colonies on uninhabited worlds. We developed technology to defend ourselves. These are the crimes for which your leaders demand our extinction. She paused, letting her words register. Now ask yourselves, how many of your own species have been treated the same way? How many times has the Council demanded subjugation from those who sought independence? How many civilizations have been erased because they refused to obey? On the bridge of a Zinthri carrier, Captain Velmora listened with growing unease. Her species had joined the Council 3,000 years ago under threat of annihilation. They had never been treated as equals, always as junior partners whose resources and labor enriched the Krell Dominion. Humanity is not fighting for conquest, Maya said. We are fighting for the right to exist as free beings, and we extend that same right to every species in this fleet. Any ship that wishes to withdraw from this battle will not be fired upon. Any crew that wishes to stand with us will be welcomed as equals. We are not your enemies. Your true enemies are those who demand your obedience through fear. Admiral Kreshtar moved to cut the transmission, but it was too late. The message had been heard, and worse, it had been heard by species who had their own grievances with Council rule. The first ship to break formation was a Zinthri frigate. It simply stopped firing and moved away from the battle zone. Then another, then 10 more, within minutes. Entire squadrons were withdrawing, refusing to fight in a war that served only the interests of the Krell Dominion and a handful of other powerful species. Stop them. Open fire on any ship that retreats. Execute their commanders for treason. But it was too late. The Council Armada was fracturing from within. Species that had been held together through intimidation and the promise of shared power were suddenly questioning whether that power was worth dying for. The humans had not just brought superior technology to the battlefield. They had brought an idea, and ideas were far more dangerous than weapons. Commander Reeves saw the Council formation collapsing and made a decision. Ceasefire. All ships, ceasefire immediately. Lieutenant Park looked at him in surprise. Sir, we have them on the defensive. We could end this now. No, Reeves said firmly. We could destroy them, but that would make us conquerors, not liberators. We are not here to replace the Council's tyranny with our own. He activated the communication channel. This is Commander James Reeves to all vessels. Human forces are ceasing offensive operations. Any Council ship that wishes to withdraw may do so safely. Any ship that wishes to negotiate alliance may approach under flag of peace. We will fire only in self-defense. The effect was immediate. The battle, which moments before had been a desperate struggle for survival, transformed into something else entirely. Council ships began communicating with each other, debating their options. Some chose to retreat, limping away with damaged vessels and shattered morale. Others remained in position, uncertain what to do, and a few, led by Captain Velmora's Zinthri carrier, approached the human fleet with signals of peaceful intent. A new order. 3 days after battle, representatives from 41 species gathered aboard the HSS Defiance. They came from races that had served the Council for centuries, some willingly, others under duress. They came because they had seen something in humanity's actions that inspired hope, the possibility of a different way of organizing galactic civilization. Ambassador Mayachin stood before them in a large conference chamber. She looked tired. The past 72 hours had been exhausting, filled with constant negotiations and careful diplomacy. But she also looked satisfied. This was the moment humanity had been working toward for 60 years. Thank you all for coming, she began. I know this decision was not easy. Some of you are risking everything by being here. The Council will not forgive what they see as betrayal. Captain Velmora, representing the Zinthri delegation, spoke up. Her voice carried through translators in a melodic tone. "The Council has already betrayed us, repeatedly, over thousands of years. We stayed loyal because we saw no alternative. You have shown us there is another path." Maya nodded. "Then let me be clear about what that path entails. Humanity is not interested in building an empire. We will not demand tribute or subjugation. We will not control your governments or exploit your resources. What we offer is a true alliance of equals." "How can we trust that?" asked Representative Corvan of the Veldrin Collective, a species of energy beings that flickered with skeptical blue light. "Every empire begins with promises of equality. Within generations, those promises are forgotten." "You are right to be skeptical," Maya admitted. "Trust must be earned. So let me propose something radical. We will establish a new council, one where every member species has equal voting rights regardless of size or military power. Decisions will be made by majority vote, not by the dominance of a few powerful races. And most importantly, any species can leave at any time without penalty." The gathered representatives exchanged glances. Such an arrangement was unprecedented in galactic politics. Power had always been concentrated in the hands of the strongest. "Furthermore," Maya continued, "humanity will share our technology with all Alliance members. The quantum drives, the dimensional weapons, the neural integration systems. All of it. We believe that security comes from mutual strength, not from hoarding advantages." This caused a sensation. Even Captain Velmora looked shocked. "You would give away the very weapons that won you this victory?" "Yes," Maya said simply, "because we do not want to win through superior force. We want to build a civilization where force is unnecessary. We want a galaxy where disputes are settled through dialogue, not destruction." She brought up holographic displays, showing Earth's proposed structure for the new alliance. "We call it the Free Systems Coalition. Every member maintains complete sovereignty over their territory and internal affairs. The coalition exists only to provide mutual defense and facilitate cooperation. No member can be compelled to participate in military action. No member can be punished for withdrawing." Representative Corvan's energy form pulsed thoughtfully. "And what of the Council? The Krell Dominion still commands thousands of ships. They will not accept this challenge to their authority peacefully." "No, they will not," Maya agreed, "which is why we must be prepared to defend ourselves. But defense is very different from conquest. We will protect coalition members from aggression, but we will not attack Council territory. We will demonstrate that it is possible to be strong without being tyrannical." Over the next hours, the debate continued. Representatives raised concerns, proposed modifications, and gradually shaped the framework of something new. It was messy, complicated, and sometimes frustrating, but it was also democratic in a way that galactic politics had never been before. Finally, as the station's artificial day cycle reached evening, a vote was called. 41 species voted on whether to join humanity in forming the Free Systems Coalition. The result was unanimous. All 41 voted yes. Maya felt tears welling in her eyes, but held them back. This was not a time for emotion. This was a time for strength and clarity. "Then it is decided. The Free Systems Coalition is established. Together, we will build something better than what came before." Epilogue, the message. 6 months later, the balance of galactic power had shifted dramatically. The Free Systems Coalition had grown to include 93 species, nearly half of those who had previously belonged to the Council. The Krell Dominion and its loyalists still commanded significant military force, but they were no longer the unquestioned rulers of known space. Ambassador Mayachin sat in her office aboard the Coalition's new headquarters, a space station built cooperatively by member species. She was reviewing reports when a communication request came through. The identification code made her pause. It was from Supreme Arbiter Vorthak. She accepted the transmission. The holographic image of the massive crystalline being appeared before her desk. "Ambassador Chun," Vorthak said. His voice no longer carried the imperious certainty it once had. "I wanted to speak with you directly." "I am listening," Maya replied neutrally. Vorthak was silent for a moment, an unusual hesitation from a being who had ruled without question for millennia. I have been reviewing historical records from my species' archives. Records that go back to when the Krell Dominion was young, before we built our empire. We were once like you, fighting for freedom against an older civilization that sought to control us. Maya said nothing, letting him continue. We won that fight, Vorthak said quietly. And then, over centuries, we became what we had defeated. We convinced ourselves that our control was necessary, that younger species needed our guidance. We believed we were maintaining order, but we were simply perpetuating a cycle of domination. Why are you telling me this? Maya asked. Because I want you to understand something, Vorthak replied. Your coalition will face challenges. Member species will disagree. Some will want to use your military power for their own interests. There will be pressure to compromise your principles for expediency. And if you are not vigilant, you will become what we became. Maya leaned forward. Is this a warning or advice? Both, Vorthak said. You have achieved something remarkable. Do not let it corrupt. Do not let power seduce you into believing that your control is justified because you are wiser or stronger. That is how empires are born. We will remember that. Maya promised. The moment we forget, we will have lost what makes us different. Vorthak's crystalline form seemed to dim slightly. Then perhaps there is hope for the galaxy after all. Good fortune to you, Ambassador. May you succeed where we failed. The transmission ended. Maya sat in silence for a long moment, considering his words. Then she activated her own communication system and sent a message to all coalition members. This is Ambassador Chun to all free systems. Today marks 6 months since our founding. We have faced challenges and will face many more. But I want to remind everyone why we exist. We are not here to rule. We are here to protect the freedom of all species to determine their own destiny. The moment we forget that, we must disband. Power without principle is tyranny, no matter how benevolent it claims to be. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. Humanity spent 60 years preparing for war because we knew it was inevitable. Now we must spend the next 60 years and beyond building peace. Not the peace of subjugation, but the peace of cooperation. Not the peace of fear, but the peace of mutual respect. This is our promise to the galaxy. This is what makes us different. Maya ended the transmission and looked out her window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the old council still existed, plotting and planning. There would be more conflicts, more challenges, more moments when violence seemed like the easier path. But humanity had learned something important over 60 years of preparation. The greatest strength was not the ability to destroy enemies. It was the ability to turn enemies into allies. It was a courage to extend trust, even when it might not be returned. It was a wisdom to know that lasting peace could only be built on foundations of freedom and equality. The galaxy was changing. The old order was crumbling. And in its place, something new was being born. Something that might finally break the cycle of empire and oppression that had defined galactic civilization for 100,000 years. It would not be easy. It might not even succeed. But for the first time in eons, there was hope. And hope, as humanity had proven, was the most powerful force in the universe.